Hello and welcome to this short webinar on the rise and rise of marketing as a service. So this webinar is about how to transform your marketing, how to take advantage of the rapidly shifting landscape, the changing buying process, and close the emerging marketing performance gap. In short, it's about how to build a lead generation engine that drives up revenue and drives down the cost of acquiring business. Now we're going to try and keep it short as I know time's precious, so we plan to be out of here in slightly under 20 minutes. My name is Chris Fell and I'm the founder of G2M Solutions, and we help firms who are struggling to transform their sales and marketing to adapt to this new online digital inbound world in which we all find ourselves. Business leaders must actively address three specific areas. Number one, rebuild your go-to-market plan, tactics and funnel for the new buyer. Ensure you have access to the skills and the capacity to execute lead generation campaigns effectively. And thirdly, to invest in technology that improves your efficiency and allows you to measure return on investment and the cost of customer acquisition. Now, the rest of this webinar is going to show you how to do that, so let's crack on. The as-a-service business model has become extremely popular across many sectors of the economy, but particularly in the IT and tech space where whole-of-function outsourcing has been in vogue since the mid-1990s. More recently, the rise of fast internet speeds and the advent of a generally pretty robust and secure cloud has meant many day-to-day activities, from office computer applications to social media platforms to large-scale enterprise infrastructure, is in the cloud and delivered to the customer as a service. But why has this become so popular? After all, it doesn't take more than 5 minutes with a calculator to figure out that in some cases it won't actually end up being any cheaper. Well, the first reason is that the as-a-service model gives you access to the right skill sets in the right amount, when and only when you need them. So you're effectively outsourcing the war for talent. Secondly, it provides real flexibility. Businesses move very fast these days and it's increasingly hard to plan and predict your requirements. Better then to utilize a model that allows you to turn the tap up or down depending on your business growth rather than committing to a fixed level of investment. Thirdly, investing in infrastructure burns through precious cash, and it's better for many businesses to run infrastructure as an operating expense rather than a capital expense. Lastly, being able to set contracts that stipulate hard-coded measurable results, typically in the form of service level agreements, means a much greater financial accountability than is often available inside an organization. So now what we're seeing is many analyst firms such as Gartner and IDC and others are predicting strong growth in the marketing as a service space. And to understand why firms are looking to this option, I think it's pretty helpful to look at some of the massive changes facing the marketing profession right now. So firstly, let's look at some external forces driving this change. The marketplace is shifting really fast. B2B buyer behavior is really shifting too. Buyers are continually grazing on a rich diet of content freely available to them, and they're educating and informing themselves. It's kind of like a self-service model. They're able to access information they need on any device at any time of the day or night, from anywhere. Old networks are being replaced by social networks of influence like LinkedIn and increasingly Twitter. And buyers are getting expert at blocking intrusive outbound communications. And the modern marketer's tactics must evolve to attract and engage buyers. Similarly, the internal marketing function is under increasing pressure. Heads of marketing are struggling to articulate this shift to online digital marketing. There's just no clear roadmap. And the boss is increasingly demanding return on investment on those marketing investments. Demanding, like Jerry Maguire, show me the money. And scarily, 60% of buyers' journey is already complete by the time a buyer first speaks to sales. Sales are losing influence over the middle of the purchase process, and marketing's having to step into the gap. Marketing is responsible for a greater and greater proportion of the buyer's journey and a greater proportion of revenue. And these are new skills for many, many marketers. Lastly, access to the new digital skills required to build inbound digital marketing are hard to find and even harder to retain. So with the emergence of the as-a-service phenomenon and the shifting sands both inside and outside the organization, the need for transformation of the marketing function is urgent. But getting moving on that transformation process is extremely challenging. Firms that are already embracing these new rules of marketing are seeing some significant advantages. The cost of customer acquisition is a great deal lower, by as much as 60%. And the quality of leads is higher, leading to higher close rates and longer retention periods. Conversely, those who do not transform risk a slowing lead generation engine. They're having to work harder and harder to achieve the same results. Costs are rising, growth is slowing, and market share shrinking. Marketing as a service providers, such as G2M, are seeing strong demand for this more holistic approach. The core attraction for many clients is that they can see in a completely transparent way what is and isn't working, and exactly what the marketing as a service provider is contributing to leads and to revenue. Conversely, point solution providers are really struggling to demonstrate their value in their specific measurable contribution to marketing's KPIs. So specifically, where are we seeing the gaps? Well, firstly, in terms of talent, there is a well-documented talent war for talent in marketing. And for those that really understand this brave new world, there are almost no schools anywhere in the world, literally, who teach a comprehensive curriculum around digital online marketing. So much of the learning has to be done on the job. The skills that are required are really varied and range across the spectrum from strategy development to blog and content writing, building social media reach and engagement, top-notch analytical skills, strong skills in HTML, email marketing, and so the list goes on and on. It's the era of the hybrid marketer who straddles a smorgasbord of required skills. And those that have made the transition are hard to find, and as I said earlier, even harder to keep. Secondly, technology. We now have very powerful technology that allows us to make great advances in marketing automation and personalization. And you don't have to be a large firm with deep pockets to be able to afford this anymore. In many cases, powerful solutions are available for literally only hundreds of dollars a month. Technology can be profitably used to achieve real scale in your marketing and drive down costs. Yet many marketers are completely overwhelmed with the choice available to them and have few skills in selecting and deploying a raft of technology solutions, and the potential for expensive mistakes is high. In terms of strategy, well, for many firms, their strategy is stuck in the old analog world. It isn't designed to work in the new digital inbound world. Worse still, heads of marketing aren't sure how to plan that takes account of the new way people buy. They aren't clear what tactics work to engage them, to qualify and close them. All in all, the combination of these three gaps is creating a significant and concerning performance gap in many organizations' marketing. Solving the marketing performance challenge requires investing in some core building blocks that, when looked at as a whole, create a core underlying marketing infrastructure. Well, task one is building a set of core rules and logic kind of embedded in your campaign's processes. And I think the best way to think of this is to think of the journey a buyer goes on from being a complete stranger to a curious visitor to an engaged lead to a serious qualified lead and finally to a loyal customer. Well, what processes and logic do we have in place to move the buyer through these stages? What channels are we going to use to attract them? What landing pages will we have? What questions will we ask them on our website forms? How will we segment visitors into different lists? How will we nurture them? Exactly when will we agree they're sales ready? And how will we pass that lead to sales? And lastly, what reports are we going to run to measure the success of our choices? With regards to content, what content assets will we use to engage with buyers, educate, entertain, intrigue, and reassure them? Who's going to build them? When? How will we have a process for distributing that content to our buyers? Creating a skills map. What skills do we already have and plan to keep in-house versus what skills are we going to buy in from external specialists? How are we going to resource this lead generation engine? Lastly, what technology are we going to use to do all the heavy lifting? How is this technology going to work together? But most importantly of all, we must define how all of these components are going to work together in a deliberate, planned sequence. What is our lead generation going to actually look like? And with what and how often are we going to fill this engine with fuel? So here's an example of what a lead gen funnel map might actually look like. On the left-hand side, a set of tactics that get you found by your potential buyers. Then in the middle of the funnel, a set of tactics that qualify leads to the point they're ready to speak with sales. And finally, lower funnel tactics that close deals in your favor. Importantly, along the bottom of the map, you must figure out what number of visitors, what number of contacts, marketing qualified leads, prospects and customers do you need at each stage of the funnel to hit your business revenue goals. And really, this is what it's all about. Figuring out the tactics that will run your funnel at the right velocity. So a clearly articulated blueprint that management, marketing and sales all agree on is actually a very powerful concept, and it kind of aligns the business and the components of the business around a common approach to the market and to a set of business goals. If we then put core infrastructure in place, marketing are freed up to invest time, effort and creativity on campaigns that adapt to the marketplace and the needs of the buyer, so they can kind of respond in a much more agile manner to shifts in demand. So the case for change has been made, and we've touched on how to build a highly effective marketing function. We advocate that outsourcing the change process has a number of key benefits that are hard to ignore. Firstly, speed. Working with an expert partner who does this work all day, every day, means you're going to reach those goals a lot faster. It's hard to predict exactly what the future will hold, so being able to dial up or dial down your lead gen efforts easily and flexibly is very attractive. Finding the breadth of skills required to transform your team is also a big challenge and very expensive. Retaining them is even harder. Skill sets are in high demand, as we mentioned earlier. So outsourcing that risk is smart and protects your ability to generate a sustained lead flow for your sales team. Selecting and building the right tech infrastructure is daunting and expensive, so it makes sense to use a partner who specializes in marketing technology. Last, but perhaps most important, is the ability to set key measurement criteria and hold that partner accountable in a way that is, well, frankly challenging when done internally. So let's look at the 7 core capabilities you should look for in your marketing as a service provider. Well, the first one, and probably a critical one, is the capability to work with the client to build a marketing strategy that's relevant for the inbound digital world. Central to this work is to clearly define your buyer personas, their goals, and particularly the pain points and challenges. This is central to creating really effective positioning and messaging. And of equal importance is clearly tying the marketing strategy, tactics and plan back to the business's revenue and growth objectives. Secondly, MaaS providers should have strong content development capabilities that can excite and educate and engage your audience. Really, without this fuel for your lead engine, you're likely to stall before you even cross the starting line. Ongoing and consistent production of content is absolutely central to the lead generation process and one of the biggest and consistent challenges facing firms. Remember that producing content isn't enough. You actually have to distribute that content to the places your buyers are hanging out online, such as LinkedIn and Twitter, as well as email, of course, to your existing contacts. Once we have a plan and content, ensure the provider is skilled at running integrated campaigns across all your channels that can attract, engage and convert buyers at the right velocity to meet your goals. Get them to demonstrate their past successes. Check out their own marketing efforts so they're actually practicing what they preach. A good MaaS provider will have skills that span the full funnel from the top of the funnel, tactics like SEO, keywords, social media, blogging, paid search, PR, so on. But they'll also be equally comfortable creating powerful landing pages, forms, calls to actions, as well as lead and nurture campaigns via EDMs that build trust and qualify leads until they're ready to speak with sales. Perhaps one of the most vital capabilities any provider can have is strong analytical chops. Ensure they can produce clear and accurate reports that track your full funnel. Can they tell you the sources of visitors to your site? Can they see which one of those sources converted to a contact, a lead, and ultimately a customer? Can they tell you which of your white papers or ebooks are working best, which emails are being opened, which ones are failing to entice buyers, on which social channels are you building reach? Most importantly, can they tie the performance of your lead generation back to the business plan? Are you running your funnel fast enough to hit your revenue goals? Now, much of the efforts of marketing and sales often get lost when marketing and sales aren't well aligned. So ensure your selected partner is adept at defining what's a qualified lead. They can design a process that passes qualified leads to sales and ties your marketing system to your CRM system so that you can track results. Marketing automation tools are central to running an effective lead generation system, and your provider has to have a really high level of expertise in its use. Frankly, this is really where the rubber hits the road. Most providers support a preferred platform. In G2M's case, we're a platinum partner for HubSpot, but you should ensure any potential partner has all of the required certifications and expertise. Last, and by no means least, choosing a marketing as a service provider is not a short-term decision. Inbound, content-based marketing is a strong, long-term brand promise you're making to your buyers. Chopping and changing providers is a bad idea. So it's very important to choose your partner and someone that you feel you're comfortable working with over the long term. They are, after all, an extension of your own company and your own team. Check out their skills, their LinkedIn profiles, read some testimonials and case studies, and perhaps ask to speak with a couple of customers too. Ask the provider to show you some of the results they've achieved with other firms. Test their track record in generating visitors, contacts and qualified leads for their customers. And lastly, take some time to meet the team. Make sure you get on with them. So in summary, your marketing partner's job is to run this comprehensive lead generation engine, to attract buyers to you, to convert those buyers into leads using compelling, helpful, educational content, and pull them along their buyer's journey by building trust and nurturing leads until they're ready to close. When done well, those very same, now happy customers become your best advocates and promoters. So let's talk about how this as-a-service approach to building your lead gen engine adds value to your business. Well, the first way is by driving down the cost of acquiring a new lead and a new customer. Analysis of actual results shows that there's around a 60% saving in cost of customer acquisition by using inbound digital marketing. The velocity of your funnel will increase and your business will derive much greater returns from that very same investment. Thirdly, it's a great deal easier to dispassionately analyze what is and isn't working and make fact-based decisions when investing in marketing tactics. So that's about it with regards to this webinar. It's been absolutely great speaking with you today. You may well have some questions for me. I actually really hope so. So I encourage you to email or call me. Details are on the last slide of this presentation. We'd love to stay in touch with you, so please also consider subscribing to our blog. But if what I've said to you today really strikes a chord, I'd like to encourage you to hit that great big green request a consultation button. Now, if you do that, we'll get in touch and we'll arrange a time for you and I to get on the phone, perhaps grab a cup of coffee, and we'll go over your current marketing and we'll come up with some recommendations you might consider to really improve the velocity of your lead generation and revenue growth. So thanks very much indeed. That's it from me, and I hope to hear from you soon.